God bless all of you. Are you overweight? Are you tired? Feeling sluggish? Clothes don't fit? Well, I was in that position this time last year, and right now I'm 45 pounds less. So, the topic of this video: how I lost 45 pounds in 4 months. Let me preface this by saying, as a young boy, as a young man, I never had any problem with my weight whatsoever. And part of that, I happened to grow up in the 1960s, early 70s. We were always playing outside, so it didn't matter what you ate. I suppose there were a few heavy kids in the grade school, but they probably had some kind of physiological issue. We got a lot of physical exercise just as a matter of course. After high school, I was in the Marine Corps and then in the Navy, and certainly both of those services had physical tests and also a lot of physical labor. Okay. And finally, I went to college, and while I was in college, I certainly drank a lot of beer, but I also ran a lot. I ran every day. I'd go running with my friends, and we'd do 5 to 6 miles at about a 7-minute mile clip, which was a very good clip. So that I think handled most of burning off excess calories. And at the time, I was also in the Army Officer Program, the ROTC program, so I did push-ups. I would do sit-ups in the dorm floor and everything so I could do well on my APRT test. After I graduated college, I went into law enforcement. And of course, you have to be in shape to get into law enforcement. You have to pass the physical agility tests for the departments. And I went through two academies. One was the Cook County Sheriff's Academy in Chicago. That was 10 weeks. And the second one was the DEA Academy, which was at Quantico, and that was 13 weeks. But what I did do in the academy is I did excellent on the physical training. It was pull-ups, push-ups, sit-ups, a shuttle run, and a 2-mile run, which is more strenuous than any of the military tests that I had ever taken. And I would say I was in my peak physical condition when I graduated the academy, and that would have been in January of 1986. And by the time I graduated the academy, 155 pounds. What is it that caused me to start gaining weight? Well, of course, once you start working in the Drug Enforcement Administration or law enforcement in general, you're in a vehicle most of the time. Actually, your whole day is spent in a vehicle. You're either driving to the court or the U.S. attorneys, or you're on a surveillance. And that wreaks havoc on your workout schedule, and it also doesn't do much for your eating. You tend to eat out at great places like Taco Bell and McDonald's, places where you can go through the drive-through and get something to eat and then go back to your station on surveillance, and you sit there. And when my class went back to the academy in 1987, we went back for 2 weeks, most of us failed the test that we had passed just 2 years ago to graduate. So that's how out of shape, how quickly people got out of shape after getting out of that workout environment and in a sitting around in a car or sitting in an office type environment. Okay. Still, my weight didn't really go up that much, really until I went to DEA headquarters. I turned 40, and that's when I moved to this area. And the job there was, of course, an office job. It was getting up very early in the morning, about 4 in the morning, and carpooling it into DC. And it was really, a lot of times I was just too tired to work out. And so I didn't work out much. And just because of my age, my metabolism had slowed down. I started to put on weight. For the first time, I went over 200 pounds, which was something. And I just continued to gain weight. And I would go on a diet here and there. I signed up at one time for Nutrisystem, which I'm sure you've probably heard or seen about. And they send you food. And the problem with it is they'd send me the food. And, you're supposed to get a candy bar for lunch, right? That's your lunch. I'd eat all the candy bars at once because I was hungry. So the candy bar, insofar as that being lunch, I don't think so. Okay, the food, there wasn't enough food, and there just really wasn't enough of a system And what I ended up doing is eating that food in addition to other food, and really was just throwing money out the window. So what was the turning point? Began to have pain in my belly button area, the umbilical. And it was quite clear that I had a hernia. And the hernia was hurting. So at that time I was very big in the waist. I was putting on a truss, a belt to hold the hernia in. Well, in October of 2019, I went in for my annual physical, and I probably I should show this to the doctor. And he goes, "Oh, you got to go see the abdominal surgeon about that. That's serious. It might be serious. It might not be. I don't know, but I'm sending you to a surgeon." All right, so we set up the appointment for the surgeon, and I gave myself 8 weeks to lose weight. But of course, I didn't do anything to lose weight. I just did what I always did. I didn't lose any weight. I didn't even weigh myself. And when I went in, it was on December the 17th of 2019. I didn't even look at the scale. And I went into the doctor's office, and then the nurse came in and told me, "Oh, and you weigh," and my jaw dropped. She said I weigh 240, which that was a little high because I was wearing winter clothes, but it wasn't that high. Okay, if you took off the winter clothes and the winter coat and the shoes, it was probably about 235, at that point. So I was definitely becoming Tubby Wumpkins. And then the doctor came in and said, "You're way overweight. The surgery will be a risk because you're overweight." I said, "Well, maybe we'll put off the surgery a little bit and we'll try to do it around March." Okay. So that was my plan. But when I left there, I had resolved that I'm going to drop the weight. There is no way. I was angry, really angry with myself for the first time in a long time, and said I'm going to lose weight. So this is how I did it. I went on a systematic program of weight loss. Before, I would drop a few pounds here and there, but there was no system, so I didn't stay with it. As I had mentioned before, I had bought Nutrisystem food, but that's not a system. That's just food that you eat. And if you just stick to that food, of course you're going to lose weight. But it's only a small amount of calories. It's not enough even, unless you're just laying in bed, it's not enough for me to even function. So the system that I eventually, or very quickly decided to sign up for is a very simple system. It's on an app on your mobile phone. It's called Noom, Noom. It's out of New York City. It's mostly women who are in this program, but it costs a little bit of a fee. But to me, it was very worth it. It worked. Okay, I can just tell you what works for me. I'm not advertising it. I'm not selling it. It might work for you. It might not. But here are the components of that program. The first thing, daily weigh-in. Every day, without fail, you weigh yourself at a given time in the day and you record that weight. And that is absolutely necessary. Once you stop weighing yourself, it's very easy for your weight to start slowly moving back up. But this way you can see your weight going up or going down and see what progress you're making. And then you record it, and then the Noom system, you record it on your app, not a problem at all. On other systems, you could just probably put it on an Excel spreadsheet. The second thing you do is you record everything that you eat. Now, again, on the Noom system, you type in your food, and they've got most everything. It assigns you a calorie bank of 1,500 calories a day, which is a little low for me, actually. But so you log your breakfast, lunch, dinner, any snacks that you have. So the first couple weeks are very, very rough. Okay, I'm not going to lie about that. You're hungry all the time. But then once your stomach shrinks, you're not as hungry. The third thing that I did is I do just about workout on a daily basis, and I ditched the gym membership. The gym membership was fine, but it never really helped me lose weight or keep weight off. You're working out in a temperature-controlled environment. Even on the elliptical machine, it just doesn't help me that much. Running outside, because you get fresh air, you get the sun, and I think a run is just a better exercise. rather than weights or push-ups or something like that. When I do those type of exercises, I gain muscle, which causes me to gain weight. And that's not my point. I'm 61 years old as of tomorrow. I don't want to gain weight. Okay, I didn't want to gain any weight. I want to lose weight. So the point then is the best way to do that is aerobic exercise. And the best aerobic exercise I found, the most possible, is running. And I started off at about a mile. Now I do about 5 or 6 a day. I don't run very fast. That's not my point. I don't try to run fast. I'm not trying to win any races. But I do, I do 5 or 6 miles a day. And the good thing is with the new map, that gives you some additional calories to burn off. So they make an allowance for you. If you run for an hour, you get an additional several hundred calories. I should also point out with the Noom program, there's a basically guidance that you get daily, and you read it. And the guidance really is to help change the way you think about food. So several months of reading the guidance that they put out on your cell phone, recording your weight, recording all of your meals, recording your exercise, it worked. And again, by the time we had the lockdown, even that helped me out. A lot of people gained weight during the lockdown, but I would just go run for long distances on Government Island. I haven't done so recently on Government Island because there's too many snakes out there. I almost ran into a couple of them on a few of the runs. I was a copperhead the last time, so I'm going to wait till the snake season is over. But right now, I weigh about 100, roughly 185, down from 230 something. So it's a significant amount of weight loss. But again, I attribute it to a program. It's a systematic thing. Had I done this without a program, would it have been possible? Yes. Would I have followed it? No. Why do I say that? Because I know me. So I know what works for me. I feel a lot better. I don't need the surgery because the umbilical hernia has kind of gone back into the stomach. I don't need the belt anymore. And I have a lot more energy. I sleep less. I don't need as much sleep. And certainly I don't eat as much food. So again, this is what works for me. What works for you might be something totally different. But if you're worried about losing weight, if you're concerned, my point is anyone can lose weight. Okay, if I can do it, you can do it too. So that's the story. If you have any questions, certainly you can leave them in the comments. You can write to me. You can call me. Contact me on Facebook, and I'll try to help you out in any way that I can. Okay, thanks for listening, and God bless.